Serious, what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen a man do to defend their masculinity? It was raining and I offered a guy my umbrella and he refused, saying they were just for women. I didn't even know that was a thing. Next $1 million idea, the manbrella. The handle can be a camo pistol grip. I don't think you could get much manlier than a brass penis as the grip. What's manlier than an erect penis? I used to work at a bakery where each clerk had to bring their own pens to have customers sign receipts with, if they paid with a card. I had a pink pen with a little duck on top and one day a customer refused to sign with it. He got really mad that I didn't have another pen and walked out to his car to find a pen that wasn't girly. I had a pink sequiny pink I used when I used to do sporting goods. Ink was blue but it kept the macho men from stealing my pen when they got their hunting fishing license. A female friend of mine brought a Tinder boy on a double date with me and my girlfriend. After the movies we took a dip in friend's pool and somehow we started this quasi-sword fight game with the pool noodles. This ducking kid proceeded to whack me with all his strength in an attempt to impress my friend. Like I could see the strain in his face. Also, afterwards we were watching a movie and I fell asleep. Tinder boy proceeded to aggressively attempt to feel up friend and suck on her shoulder. There was not a second date. Suck on her shoulder? Well, I guess everyone has their fetish. So it's this guy's fault that I couldn't wear a tank top in high school. Finally we found that a-hole. Hey everybody, we got the guy. A guy tried to emasculate me in my weightlifting class. The problem being he had never lifted in his life. It should be noted that this guy was a one-upper to a T. If anyone had a talent or had anything remotely interesting to say, he was there to outdo them. I was showing him how to do bench press and I was doing 155, which is my maximum. Not a lot of weight, but again, it's a lot when you've never lifted. He proceeded to attempt the weight I was doing while I was at the water fountain. Unfortunately I couldn't get there before he gave himself a hairline fracture in his sternum. I would have felt worse for him if he wasn't such a donghead. Some years back I had a guy block me on FB and stop talking to me at work because I posted a pic of me in makeup that my daughter did and then a second pic of me in a sarong with same makeup. She was 10 and wanted a model to work on. It was hilarious fun and it will be a long-lived great memory of me and my little girl having a good laugh. Apparently he was talking behind my back about me being gay and I was teaching my daughter the wrong things about what being a man meant and what girls should expect. The other blokes are as crazy as me and didn't think much of him. He even went as far as telling this so he did not think I was the right person to be working and sleeping at the station with other men. I'm a firefighter. This is a guy who was divorced twice and estranged from his kids. Has at least one violence order against him that I've since learned about. He was a shit worker and only lasted 8 months. I've seen examples like this, like being too good of a parent is womanly. You should stare at him every time he goes down the pole. IDK if the pole is a real thing. Just saying. You sound like an awesome dad. My dad will not tolerate being served food that was set to look pretty. Once he ordered a dish with coconut shrimp, and when it came out its presentation looked very cute and my dad immediately recoiled in disgust and said this isn't what I ordered. Take it back. We were all confused because he had in fact ordered it and the waitress was just beside herself. My dad then said, "It's too feminine." The waitress ended up taking the plate back and they rearranged the shrimp as to not offend my dad as if he were a picky 2-year-old. 2 male classmates and I were on a field trip and got caught in the rain. I had a raincoat, and guy 1 had an umbrella. He offered to share it with the guy 2, who had no rain gear. Guy 2 insisted it was gay to share an umbrella with another man. He would only use the umbrella if he carried it, while I walked under it with him and guy 1 borrowed my raincoat. This didn't fly because A. I wasn't about to give up my raincoat for the paltry protection lent by huddling under an umbrella, and B. Guy 1 would not have fit my raincoat, so guy 2 got soaked. I dated a guy who insisted that he had to hold the umbrella. As a man, he was much shorter than me, and it was my umbrella. We argued on a street corner for like 10 minutes. Obviously didn't last, but that was because he was also pretty racist. Because standing under an umbrella together is pretty much foreplay in the gay community. friend of mine had a wardrobe malfunction and flashed her crotch accidentally. A tool bag at the bar pointed it out by loudly yelling, "I saw your vag, I saw your vag." Her boyfriend responded by flipping out and yelling at her about how dare she show some other bloke her vag. She had to placate him that it was still his vag. A-holes all around. Man, I know a guy who's completely given up on straight porn solely because he can see the man's penis. I know this because he's so incredibly vocal about watching exclusively lesbian porn on dildos or anything remotely phallic and that it's gay to do otherwise. Man, he's going to be so pissed off when he realizes that he has a coke. TFW, your balls deep in a girl and look down and see your penis and the whole thing turns gay. Personally, I only watch porn with two dudes because girls like dongs and dongs are gay. I had a guy tell me either man. I walk ahead while we were in my part of the city where clearly I was the one who knew the way. It ended up with me turning the right way and then him jumping in front of me and walking ahead. It was kinda goofy, but I could tell that at the core he was serious. My best friend unexpectedly had a very heavy period hit her out of nowhere while at work. She bled noticeably through her pants. She asked her boyfriend to drive to the store and pick up some tampons and a change of pants. He showed up later with some pants and no tampons. He didn't want to be seen buying them. He was 24. My old boss of 8 years working at Sonic Drive-In would buy tampons to keep in the drawer in case many of the young women working there needed one. It was like a communal thing and he paid for them out of pocket for anybody that needs them. One time our supervisor came in and saw them and mentioned to my boss, the GM, asking if the store paid for those. He mentioned it in a rude way, trying to make sure the store didn't pay for those at all. My boss rolled his eyes and said he paid out of pocket. I always respected my boss there for many reasons, but that was a big one for me. I'm not female, but it's a nice gesture for him to do that. We are next to high school, so some young girls would end up working there and may not have them handy. I went to an all-girls high school. We had a male religion teacher who did the same thing. First day of school he'd reference the hygienic drawer, its contents, and that any student could take what she pleased at any time. No questions. As a 14-year-old girl, the announcement alone was extremely embarrassing to sit through, but the drawl saved me a couple times, and I grew to really appreciate it and him. R.I.P. Mr. Gunderson. Neat time our supervisor came in and saw them and mentioned to my boss, the GM, asking if the store paid for those. He mentioned it in a rude way, trying to make sure the store didn't pay for those at all. And this is how shrinkage via theft is born. Back in middle school, when Uggs was still in fashion, I had a pair of Fugs, fake Uggs, that I kept things in that I didn't want people to see. My phone, tampons, money, etc. Well, one day Aunt Flo comes along and I attempt to sneakily put a tampon in my boot to go to the bathroom. I was still self-conscious at the time about periods. I raise my hand, get up and try to walk to the door, trip and my boot falls off and my tampon rolls to this dude. He picks it up, not realizing what it is. When he realizes, he screams like a girl and the people around start giggling as he throws it in the air. Well, he didn't like being laughed at, so to redeem himself, he grabs the tampon and starts gnawing on it with his teeth. Full on dog attack style. Then he spits it out and to the floor. I was not happy and people just kinda looked around awkwardly and went back to work. Yeah, nothing says manly like publicly trying to eat a tampon. What in the duck? I work with an insane over-the-top alpha ego duck boy. We all go out for drinks one night and he literally tells me I should go fight a random stranger in the bar because we have a similar haircut. Obviously I think he's joking cause that's ducking ridiculous. But no, he's dead serious and goes on to call me ducking kitten and says how soft I am. Goes on to tell me about all the bar fights he has been in. Needless to say, we don't invite him for drinks anymore. I'm sorry, but I have to laugh. I'm a woman, and fighting someone because they have the same haircut sounds like something stereotypical women do in hack movies. A few weeks back in a company meeting I realized I was wearing the exact same shirt as the CEO. We're both guys. Not just the same color but the exact same shirt. I was really tempted to go up to him and say, well, one of us is going to have to change. A friend of mine once got in the car wearing a black button down. I was too. He didn't say a word, just got out, Walked into his house and changed shirts. A few weeks ago my wife and I visited a friend in another country. We got to know her boyfriend, who was a bit special. He teased her relentlessly, all the time, and could not take any criticism at all. Once, we were arriving back at the house, by car. He was driving, when she jokingly told him I drive way better than you, referring to the narrow alleyways in their town and how she has no issues parking in tiny spots. Apparently, he saw that as an offense to his manlyhood which he just could not let slide in front of his girlfriend and us, two almost complete strangers in the back seat. He started accelerating like a maniac, going about 80 kilometers an hour in an old European town in the mountains, where you don't see any cars coming and the roads are really narrow. His girlfriend screaming at him to stop. He did this for about 2 streets before he turned around and drove back. Yes, endangering the lives of my girlfriend and 2 randos is the only way I prove that I am manly. Stepbrother is the type of guy that refuses to hold his girlfriend's purse. Once at a small family dinner she went to the bathroom. After a minute she must have texted him and he goes to check on her. They quietly argued a little and were clearly mad but trying to hide it the whole night after. Turns out she needed a tampon from her purse and he wouldn't even bring the purse to her. She had to text my sister to bring it to her. First time I went out with my now fiancé and her parents, she went to the bathroom and I offered to hold her purse. Mum got mad at dad because he refuses to do that. Personally I don't get it. Who the hell cares if someone sees me holding a purse outside of a bathroom? They're just going to assume I'm holding it for someone. With that said, I also have no problem holding it otherwise anywhere else. Really no big deal to me. My ex hated holding my bag for any reason and would get really mad at me for it. We had been together for 3 years and were at a party with people we had known for our entire relationship long before him. I asked him to hold my bag while I went to the bathroom. On my way back, some guy came in who he wanted to impress, and he straight up dropped my bag on the ground, with my computer in it, all to protect his oh so fragile masculinity. I have to hold my girlfriend's purse every time we go shopping. I too would get uncomfortable holding it, but now I make it a point to flaunt it like I own it. Best comment of the day. We had pens like that my work, and I'd bring 4. Pink, orange, blue and purple each with a bobbly doll head on it. It was super interesting watching some guys decide which to take. Almost always blue, but in the end it was still a dolly pen, and you could always see some of the guys considering which doll pen would be manliest. Most just laughed and grabbed the closest one, but some